Most people wake up each day chasing results. They measure their worth by numbers, recognition, or the applause of others. But here's the problem: results are fleeting, they come and go. You hit one goal, and immediately you're left asking, what's next? That cycle leaves us empty. What truly fulfills us is not the result. It's the work itself. It's the process, the craft, the obsession with doing something meaningful, even when no one is watching. When you fall in love with the work, you unlock consistency, creativity, and resilience. And ironically, it's the people who get obsessed with the work who end up achieving results far beyond their imagination. So today, I want to challenge you to shift your focus, to stop living for the scoreboard, to start living for the game, because if you can learn to find joy in the work, the results will take care of themselves. Imagine for a moment that everything you have ever achieved, every recognition, every milestone, and every applause was taken away. What would you have left? For many people, the silence after achievement feels deafening, because they've tied their entire sense of worth to results. But the truth is, results are not who we are. Results are snapshots in time, temporary markers that fade with the next accomplishment. What remains constant, what defines us, is the work we put in each day, the discipline, the habits, the learning, and the resilience we build along the way. Results are temporary, but the work you put in shapes who you become. Think about an athlete who wins a championship. The celebration lasts for a few days, maybe weeks, but then it's gone, and the world moves on. What remains with that athlete is not the medal or the trophy, but the years of training, the early mornings, the sweat, the sacrifice, and the lessons learned from countless failures. That's the part of the journey that builds character. The work doesn't vanish. It lives inside of you. It's what you carry forward long after the applause fades. Results may look glamorous, but it's the unseen work that molds you into someone capable of achieving them in the first place. When we obsess over results, we become trapped in cycles of pressure and comparison. We measure our worth against others, constantly chasing numbers or recognition that we can't fully control. And even when we reach those results, they often feel hollow because the satisfaction is short-lived. But when we shift our obsession toward the work, something powerful happens. We stop living for external validation and start finding meaning in the process itself. The work becomes a reflection of who we are, of what we value, of how much we're willing to invest in becoming better than we were yesterday. The beauty of the work is that it transforms us in ways results never can. Every challenge we face while working teaches us patience. Every failure we encounter builds resilience. Every moment of practice sharpens our skills. Results might give us recognition for a moment, but the work gives us growth that lasts a lifetime. This is why some people achieve incredible results over and over again. They've fallen in love with the process, not just the reward. When you look at the most fulfilled people in any field, whether it's art, business, sports, or science, you'll notice they talk far less about their achievements and far more about their journey. They light up when describing the hours spent creating, experimenting, or practicing. That joy is not tied to an end result, it's tied to the act of doing. The results, ironically, come as a byproduct of their devotion to the work. They become byproducts of love, not the main goal. The real measure of a person's greatness isn't how many results they collect, but how deeply they commit to their craft. If you pour yourself into the work with passion, discipline, and focus, results will come, sometimes bigger than you even imagine. But even if they don't, you'll still have grown, you'll still have become stronger, and you'll still have something that no result can ever take away: the person you've become through the work. Would you like me to now expand Keynote 2 in the same 600-word flow so you can build a series of speeches one after another? When we live obsessed with outcomes, we place ourselves under constant pressure. We begin to believe that our value lies in the numbers we produce. the recognition we receive, or the goals we hit. But the truth is, results are not something we can fully control. They depend on timing, circumstance, and sometimes luck. What we can control is our effort, our consistency, and the way we show up every single day. This is why obsession with outcomes can feel exhausting, while obsession with the process brings freedom. Obsession with outcomes creates stress, but obsession with the process builds mastery. Think about a musician who wants to top the charts. If all they focus on is hitting number one, they may start to compromise their art, chasing trends and losing sight of their true sound. But if they focus on practicing, writing, and perfecting their craft, they naturally create music that resonates with people. The process, when honored, leads to results. But the reverse isn't true. Chasing results without respect for the process often leaves the work shallow and forgettable. When you focus only on the end result, every step that doesn't bring you immediate success feels like failure. But when you focus on the work, every step, even the small ones, feels like progress. Mastery is built not in giant leaps, but in steady, consistent repetition. An athlete who obsesses about winning the championship may feel frustrated in every practice, but an athlete who obsesses about getting 1% better each day finds joy in practice itself. Over time, that commitment to the process makes them unstoppable. The irony is that results often improve when you stop chasing them. When you're consumed with outcomes, you become tense, distracted, and inconsistent. But when you dive into the process, you enter a state of flow. You immerse yourself in the work, and from that state, excellence emerges naturally. Mastery doesn't happen overnight, but it happens inevitably when the process is respected. Every master you admire in any field, whether it's a writer, entrepreneur, athlete, or leader, shares a common trait. They didn't start out chasing applause. They started with a deep obsession for the work itself. They repeated their craft long before anyone noticed. They practiced in the shadows when no one cared. And it was that dedication, not the hunger for results, that eventually brought them recognition. Results are simply echoes of the effort, but mastery comes from an unshakable devotion to the process. When we reframe our perspective, we begin to see results as milestones, not destinations. They become signposts that show us we're moving in the right direction, but they're never the finish line. The finish line doesn't exist because mastery has no end. There's always another level, another refinement, another breakthrough. By becoming obsessed with the process, you allow yourself to keep growing, keep evolving, and keep creating long after the applause fades. The most fulfilled people are not those who hit one big result and stop. They are the ones who continue showing up with energy, passion, and curiosity every day. They understand that results are rewards, but the work itself is the true gift. If you build your identity around results, you may achieve success but still feel empty. But if you build your identity around the work, you gain mastery, growth, and fulfillment that no outcome can ever take away. Do you want me to go ahead and expand Keynote 3 into 6? 100 words so you'll have a smooth series of connected speeches. So many people spend their lives chasing applause, chasing titles, chasing the recognition of others, only to discover that even when they achieve those things, the satisfaction is temporary. The applause fades, the recognition moves on to someone else, and the title loses its shine. What endures is not the spotlight, but the feeling you get when you're fully immersed in the craft. When you're in that moment of creation or practice. When you're doing something meaningful simply because you love it. True fulfillment is not in the result, not in the applause, but in the work itself. Think about an artist who paints. If their only goal is to sell the painting or to receive praise, then their joy rises and falls with other people's approval. But if the artist paints because the process itself brings peace, excitement, or self-expression, then the act becomes fulfilling no matter the outcome. The applause becomes a bonus, not the reason. And when someone does the work for the love of the work, it shows. Their art, their craft, their performance carries a deeper authenticity because it's rooted in passion, not performance for validation. The trap of chasing applause is that it makes us dependent on others for our sense of worth. The moment we tie our happiness to what others say or think, we give up control. One negative comment can ruin our day. One missed recognition can make us question our value. But when fulfillment comes from within the work itself, you reclaim that power. You are no longer swayed by the ups and downs of external opinions because your joy is grounded in the act of doing. Consider people who seem endlessly driven in their careers, the ones who keep going year after year, even after achieving things that others would call enough. They're not fueled by applause anymore. They're fueled by a love for the craft. The late night coder who keeps experimenting even when no one notices. The writer who fills notebook after notebook without a guaranteed audience. The teacher who stays passionate about shaping minds even when society doesn't always value the effort. These people are living proof that fulfillment comes from the inside out. When you focus on applause, your work begins to bend to fit what you think people want. It loses originality, it loses authenticity. But when you focus on the joy of the work, your creativity becomes limitless. You experiment more, you take risks, you grow in directions you never expected because the process itself sustains you. Ironically, this authenticity often creates more applause in the long run. But the difference is, you don't need it to keep going. The work itself is enough to keep the fire alive. The most resilient people are those who fall in love with the process. They can withstand setbacks because they're not just working for the result, they're working for the craft. Every failure becomes a lesson, not a judgment. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to improve, not a reason to quit. This mindset transforms struggle into growth and growth into fulfillment. At the end of the day, applause is temporary. Even the loudest cheers fade into silence. But the joy of doing something meaningful, of pouring yourself into work you love, that stays with you, it's in those quiet hours when no one is watching, when you're immersed in the process, that fulfillment is truly found. The applause may one day stop, but the passion for the work can carry you for a lifetime. Do you want me to continue with *** keynote 4 expansion ** in the same 600-word storytelling style, so your whole speech series stays connected? When you focus on results, you're constantly chasing something that is out of your control. Numbers, recognition, or achievements are influenced by countless factors, many of which you cannot dictate. This creates frustration because no matter how hard you work, the results may not always arrive on your timeline. But when you shift your focus to the work itself, you regain control. You own your effort, your discipline, and your consistency. And here is the paradox. When you stop obsessing over results and start obsessing over the process, the results begin to follow naturally. They arrive not as the goal, but as the inevitable byproduct of your commitment to the craft. Think about a farmer. A farmer doesn't control the weather, the rain, or the exact timing of harvest. If their obsession was only with the harvest, they would live in constant anxiety. But farmers who dedicate themselves to planting the right seeds, caring for the soil, watering, and protecting the crops, these are the ones who usually reap the best harvest. Why? Because they focus on the daily work, the process that eventually makes results unavoidable. The outcome comes because the process was respected. The same principle applies to everything in life: business, sports, relationships, personal growth. If you're chasing results without falling in love with the work, you'll burn out quickly. Every time the result is delayed, you'll feel defeated. But if you love the work, if you find joy in the practice, you'll keep going even when progress seems invisible. That persistence eventually produces results far greater than you could have planned. The irony is that results often elude those who chase them directly. Think of a writer who only cares about selling a bestseller. That obsession can lead to shortcuts, rushed work, or writing that feels inauthentic. But writers who immerse themselves in the process of storytelling, who write because they love the craft, are the ones whose words end up connecting deeply with people. Their success wasn't manufactured by chasing numbers. It emerged naturally from their devotion to the work. When you focus on the process, you also reduce fear. Results create pressure because they carry the risk of failure. If the only reason you're working is to achieve an outcome, then every setback feels devastating. But if your reason for working is the love of the process, failure becomes part of the journey. Each mistake becomes feedback, each setback becomes growth. You no longer fear failure because the work itself remains fulfilling regardless of outcome. Over time, this mindset creates resilience. You show up consistently, not because you are guaranteed results, but because the work matters to you. And consistency is the foundation of all achievement. People who succeed in extraordinary ways are rarely the ones who chased the biggest results. They are the ones who committed themselves to small, deliberate actions repeated daily, until the results took care of themselves. Focusing on the process also makes the journey more enjoyable. Life isn't lived only in the big moments of achievement. Most of life is lived in the small, quiet, daily moments of practice and effort. If you can find joy in those moments, you unlock a kind of success that no result can match. Because results fade, but fulfillment from the process can last forever. When you devote yourself to the work, results don't just appear, they multiply. They grow naturally because your foundation is solid. The people who rise to greatness in any field are not those who put results on a pedestal, but those who gave themselves fully to the process. Results become the echo of effort, the reflection of passion, and the reward of persistence. Do you want me to move on and craft *** Keynote 5 expanded into 600 words ** in the same inspirational storytelling style? When we set our eyes only on the results, we can quickly become frustrated when progress is slow or outcomes don't match our expectations. But when we fall in love with the process itself, we gain something much more valuable than immediate gratification. We gain resilience. Loving the process means that setbacks, failures, and delays no longer break us. Instead, they become part of the journey. When you enjoy the work for its own sake, you are willing to keep going even when the rewards are nowhere in sight. This is the mindset that separates those who quit from those who eventually succeed. Loving the process gives you resilience when results are delayed. Consider the journey of an entrepreneur. Many entrepreneurs enter their ventures hoping for rapid growth, quick recognition, or instant profits. When those results don't come right away, disappointment sets in and many give up. But the entrepreneurs who last are the ones who enjoy solving problems, testing ideas, learning from mistakes, and refining their vision. Their resilience doesn't come from immediate success. It comes from finding meaning in the process itself. They keep going because they love the work, not just the outcome. Eventually, the results show up, but by then they are already strong enough to handle them. This truth applies to every area of life. Athletes who only care about winning medals often collapse under pressure when results don't come quickly. But athletes who love the training, the early mornings, the discipline, the sweat, develop a resilience that carries them through defeats and disappointments. Writers who love writing are the ones who push through rejection after rejection. Leaders who love leading are the ones who continue to serve even when recognition is absent. Their passion for the process becomes the foundation of their endurance. Results are often delayed because mastery takes time. Skills must be built, habits must be formed, mistakes must be made and corrected. Without resilience, most people quit before they ever see the outcome of their effort. But when you enjoy the process, resilience becomes natural. You don't give up because you're not chasing a quick win. You're investing in growth. Every delay is no longer a dead end but a step forward because it means more time to learn, more time to refine, more time to improve. The irony is that people who are result-obsessed often give up faster than those who are process-obsessed. Chasing results is exhausting because you're constantly measuring yourself against an end point you can't fully control. But falling in love with the work gives you a sense of progress every day, no matter the outcome. That daily progress builds confidence, and confidence builds resilience. When results take longer than expected, you don't lose hope. You just keep working, because the work itself is the reward. Resilience is not built in moments of success. It's built in moments of waiting. It's built in the long hours when nothing seems to be happening. It's built when you show up day after day, even when nobody is watching. And the secret to resilience is simple. You must love the work enough to keep going regardless of the result. If your only reason for working is the outcome, you'll stop when it doesn't arrive quickly. But if your reason is the love of the process, nothing can stop you. This is why the most successful people are also the most resilient. They've discovered that the journey itself is the true prize. Results may come late, but they don't quit, because the work gives them fulfillment even in the waiting. They know that patience is not passive, it is active persistence, and with resilience, even the longest delays eventually turn into breakthroughs. Would you like me to now expand Keynote 6 into 600 words to complete your full series? Greatness is often misunderstood. Many people believe it is about achieving extraordinary results, collecting titles, or standing on the biggest stages. But greatness is not about what you achieve, it's about who you become in the process. The people we admire most, the ones who leave a lasting mark, are not defined by the results they collected, but by the consistency, discipline, and joy they found in the work itself. Greatness belongs to those who fall in love with the journey, not just the destination. Think of the athletes, innovators, or leaders you respect. When they talk about their journey, their eyes don't light up when they describe the medals or awards. They light up when they describe the grind, the practices, the experiments, the failures that taught them resilience, the late nights when they almost gave up but didn't. Their greatness was not created in the moment they received recognition. It was forged in the thousands of unseen hours they poured into their work. The destination gave them a platform, but the journey gave them character. The problem with chasing destinations is that they are never final. You reach one, and almost instantly your mind asks, "What's next?" If you live only for results, you will never feel complete because there will always be another milestone to chase. But when you learn to love the journey, you experience fulfillment every step of the way. Every practice session becomes meaningful, every challenge becomes growth, every small step becomes part of something bigger. Instead of waiting for joy to arrive at the end, you find joy in the doing. This mindset also frees you from comparison. When you're focused only on results, you constantly measure yourself against others. Who's further ahead, who achieved more, who is celebrated more. But when you fall in love with the journey, your only competition is yourself. You stop asking, "Am I better than them?" and start asking, "Am I better than I was yesterday?" That shift is powerful because it puts growth back in your hands. It makes progress personal. It turns the journey into your own unique story instead of a race against others. Greatness also requires patience. The journey is long, often filled with setbacks, disappointments, and slow progress. Those who chase only destinations tend to quit when the road gets hard. but those who love the work keep moving because the process itself gives them energy. They understand that each setback is not the end but a lesson. Each challenge is not a barrier but a test of their commitment. Their patience and consistency eventually separate them from everyone else, because greatness rewards those who endure. When you look closely at people who have achieved incredible things, you'll notice that their greatest pride isn't in the results, it's in the transformation. The person they became through the journey means more to them than the recognition they received at the end. That is why, even after achieving massive success, they continue to work, to grow, to push forward. For them, the journey has become the reward. Greatness doesn't belong to those who rush toward the finish line. It belongs to those who enjoy every step, who give their best effort even when nobody is watching, who treat the small things with as much care as the big things. It belongs to those who understand that fulfillment is not waiting at the destination. It's built into the journey itself, and in the end, that is what sets them apart. Do you also want me to combine all 6 expanded keynotes into one continuous, polished speech, so it flows as a single powerful keynote delivery?